Good afternoon and welcome to the Athletes Like Audrey Happiness Hour. I'm 13 on your sides, Juliette Dragus, a longtime volunteer for Special Olympics Michigan and a member of the board of directors. Today we are celebrating the athletes of Special Olympics Michigan and raising a glass to raising expectations. We can't begin this year's program without mentioning the loss of our dear friend, Peter Secchia. Peter was one of the founding co-chairs of the Athletes Like Audrey luncheon event and a true champion to the entire Special Olympics Michigan family. Peter's legacy will live on forever through every Special Olympics Michigan athlete and within the new Unified and Inclusion Center. From the very beginning of our planning for the new center, Peter had no doubt. He assured me this dream would become a reality. He was right. Such a good friend to Special Olympics Michigan. Before we hear from our inspirational speakers, we would like to recognize some of our key sponsors and supporters of today's event, our honorary and founding partners, the Secchia family, and Mike and Sue Jandernoa. And a special thank you to our young athletes, sport and play champions, Meyer. This year is again different, but we are still giving athletes a chance to shine as they add another first to their ever-growing resumes as television reporters. And I have to tell you, they are really good. We have 4 athletes and 4 of our event co-chairs teamed up together, ready to give many reasons to raise our glasses to raising expectations. So now, let's go to the Special Olympics Unified Theater, where Scott Custer and Special Olympics Michigan athlete Max Hinga are going to get things started.
Thanks, Juliette. Max and I are excited to be reporting live from the Unified Sports and Inclusion Center in Grand Rapids, which when completed will be the largest Special Olympics facility in the world. Max, you've been an athlete with Special Olympics Michigan since you were 8, which is amazing. I also hear you have dreams to be a TV reporter. How does it feel to be hosting this newscast right now?
This is awesome. It's so fun to be here sharing with you all. One reason I would love to be a TV reporter is to use it reporting as a way to share the message of inclusion. Something that Special Olympics has taught me is that anyone can achieve their dreams and share about inclusion, whether that's being a newscaster, by running a race, and in so many other ways.
I love that, Max. What are you most proud of from your time with Special Olympics Michigan?
I've definitely had a lot of experiences, from playing sports to being a global ambassador and meeting with government officials to advocate for individuals with intellectual disabilities. What I'm most proud of is starting a unified school program at my high school. After experiencing bullying, I realized we could all use a lesson in inclusion, so I worked with my school and Special Olympics to bring the program to our school. It is amazing to see how many people are involved and learning about the ways we can include people of all abilities. I exceed my own expectations by bringing this program to my school, and I hope to exceed other goals in the future.
That's so cool, Max. What an amazing way to change the lives of your fellow students. I think we can all work on our expectations for inclusion.
Thanks, Scott. I agree. Now let's send it over to Dave Corti and Anthony Baines to hear even more about raising expectations.
Thanks, Max and Scott. As we all share today, I can't help but think of how this past year was so different than anything we could have expected.
I agree, Anthony. Something I've loved over this past year is how people have continued to rise above the circumstances. I know you've been putting in the work. How have you risen above expectations this year?
Well, Dave, one thing to know about me is that I always want to encourage others. We can do anything we set our minds to, and I love being able to cheer others on. I haven't let the circumstances of this past year stop me from encouraging others, and I haven't let myself lose motivation either. While we haven't been able to cheer others on in person events this year, that doesn't mean we can't still be there for each other. I've been putting in work, training, and practicing on my own, and I can't wait to get back to the track and compete and win some more medals, of course. And I'll be cheering on all my fellow athletes too.
Wow, you certainly have been raising the bar and expectations, Anthony. We'll head over to Carl Jandernoa and CJ Van Sciver for even more.
Hi, Dave and Anthony. We're here at the Peter F. Secchia Gymnasium. What an amazing place. Peter, was an incredible friend to Special Olympics and to our family. I know how proud he would be that Special Olympics Michigan has a home here in Grand Rapids. Peter always had a soft spot for Audrey Liu and for those with different abilities. Peter really wanted Special Olympics athletes to know that they are important and that they are included. CJ, how does it feel to be in the world's largest Special Olympics facility?
I can't wait to compete here. Being able to be on the court is the best feeling. I love it here, and it also feels like home.
Speaking of competing, I've heard that basketball is your favorite sport. Can you tell us about a time when you exceeded your own expectations playing hoops?
Yeah. It was my first ever basketball game. I won the tip-off, I dribbled, I closed my eyes, and I threw it up there and it went in. It was an awesome feeling. I loved it when my friends and family and everyone was cheering me on.
CJ, what an amazing story and memory. I can almost hear the whole gym cheering as that basket went in. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome. Let's head over to Kelly Jean Noah and Katie Cole.
Thank you, Carl and CJ. All these stories are so inspiring and give me so much hope and encouragement. Kate, you know all about perseverance and determination. Can you tell us about a time where you overcame an obstacle or exceeded your own expectations?
When I want to do something, I keep working towards accomplishing that goal, whether teaching myself to jump rope or to ride a bike. I love learning new skills. When I joined a Special Olympics volleyball team, I wanted to learn how to serve. I was determined and practiced until I got where I wanted to be. Now I'm a consistent server on my team.
That's so great. I can't even imagine how hard it is to learn how to serve a volleyball and to be able to do that with your team and to be able to rely on each other and playing a game. I bet it's really fun. So I'm super excited to hear about that.
My hard work has paid off, and I got to exceed my own expectations too. I know your daughter Audrey was part of the Young Athletes program. Can you share about a time when she exceeded your expectations?
Audrey was definitely, she was a part of the Young Athletes program for Special Olympics, and she really loved it. And I remember specifically a day we went to the state basketball tournament and we got to go do like a young athletes room specifically and all the kids got to learn different sports skills and go through like an obstacle course. And Carl and I, her dad and I, were just kind of sitting there chatting with some other parents. And I remember looking over and seeing her trying to shoot a basket for the first time. And by the end of the day, she got the ball in the hoop and she was so proud of herself and cheering. And it was just really neat to have her brother and sister, Tommy and Sam, were there, and all the other athletes and families. And we just kind of got to celebrate that achievement for her. So I was really proud of her to be able to do that.
Thank you so much for sharing about Audrey. The Young Athletes program has touched so many people. Let's hear from another family who has been impacted by the Young Athletes program and had their expectations raised.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so when Wesley was born, and then obviously we knew that with a diagnosis of Down syndrome that would come with special needs and some intellectual disabilities, I was looking for resources, looking for people that I could connect with that would help me understand intellectual disabilities and find like support groups type of thing. And it ended up working out that my husband and we were out for dinner at Mountain Town and we ran into the area director of Area 7. And she's like, we would love to have you and Wes be a part of our program. And it was, I think he was 18 months old at that time. And so it was like perfect timing. Yes, so the Young Athletes program specifically had like kind of several different key elements in our lives. Preschool starts at 3 years old. So starting at 3 years old with school, that is exhausting. That is absolutely not only academically exhausting, mentally exhausting, but physically exhausting, socially exhausting. So then we had this outlet after school where he was able just to go run around and kind of release all of this like energy that he had from just being so strict in some of that kind of that school atmosphere. So that was awesome, as well as then the physical therapy side kind of and social side that the Young Athletes Program events did. So he didn't know that he was working on physical therapy. He thought he was just at a gym having recess and having fun and running around with all of his friends. And then as a mom, there was a group of us that we sat on the side and really let the coaches kind of handle the kids and have them play. And us moms and parents all sat and talked about our lives and what was going on with our children. And it was so, so nice to have that support group of like parents that we could talk about the different challenges that we all face. But even though they're different, they were similar in so many ways that you didn't feel judged. You know, they knew for sure what you were going through. So it was like that Young Athletes Program, to me, that support group as a parent was the key to my sanity. Yeah, so I think it also gave him, one, that peer interaction was huge because it introduced him to kids outside of kind of his daycare and preschool at that point, right? All of the different exposures that he had. But what was also really cool is that was the first time he actually got to meet people like him. So not that I don't think he maybe noticed, but I think it's still valuable to know that there are, because we're again from a very small community, so he's the only child with Down syndrome in our school district. So for him have now other children with intellectual disabilities and specifically Down syndrome that were part of the Young Athletes, you got to see kids that were like him. Again, when you start out being in that lost kind of feeling that you don't know where you're supposed to go, who you're supposed to talk to. So to now introduce that to new families is so rewarding because they have, I think, very similar feelings that I did, that here's this like relief of other people that know what we're going through, and then on top of that, other people who are also advocating and talking about their children in a rewarding way, right? Like we are all very proud of our children, you know, so we like to talk about all of the minute accomplishments. So what could be standard for a typical child, you know, and maybe a parent would brush that off. For us parents with children with intellectual disabilities, we are like celebrating some of those small victories. And it's great to then have other parents join us in those victories because it's a big deal. It's great to now introduce other families. Yeah, for me, I always kept my standards very high in my goals for Wes, and it's still the same. So as of now, we still have the same goals as his atypical brother. You know, we're gonna still be going towards that. He's gonna be driving at some point. He's going to be living on his own. He's going to be married and potentially with children. So I still have those same goals that I did as younger Wesley did, but I can actually see with his maturity that those are now really obtainable. So I think before, you know, it was maybe more dreams, and now I'm like, yeah, we're gonna actually do this. And he is going to really change perspectives for especially our small local town. Like he is really gonna show people that he's just the same as everybody else.
Thank you, Sarah and Wesley. You just saw why getting children with intellectual disabilities involved in Special Olympics Michigan at an early age is so important. To see the happiness among the young athletes and their families, learning new skills, interacting and becoming friends, finding acceptance and inclusion, and celebrating all abilities. Just like Audrey Jandernoa with her red glasses, who brought joy to everyone she met. I highly recommend that once we do return to in-person participation, you visit a Young Athletes event. It'll make your day. Please consider a financial gift to the Special Olympics Michigan Young Athletes Program. As we look for additional leadership in the future, we look to all of you, our viewers, to help us in our cause. As we close out today's program, a special thank you to our Athletes Like Audrey co-chairs and athlete newscasters. Didn't they do a terrific job? Newscasters, your reports made this such a special and unique program. And thanks to all of you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you at a Special Olympics Michigan event very soon. Until then, I'm Juliette Dragus for 13 on Your Side.